I'm Becky, and I've been a gardener for quite a while and a student for even longer. A few years ago, I set out to understand the impacts of students' transients in student-led food gardens and how to manage them. I was so interested in this that I made this the topic of my PhD. I've made this video to share with student gardeners, and I hope that it can provide some useful ideas for how to make these gardens the best they can be, even if the people running them keep graduating all the time and leaving. So here we go. In the UK and all over the world, students are using their time at university to take action to make the world a more sustainable place. However, there's a big difference between students' grassroots initiatives and other grassroots initiatives in society. Students often move away from home to go to university and are therefore part of the university community for only a few years. And even during that time, students usually have periods of time away from university, for example, for holidays or for work placements. In other words, students are transient. This transience causes some real problems for student-led sustainability initiatives. It causes short-term, irregular, and low participation. These problematic forms of participation then cause issues like knowledge retention within the project, a constant need to recruit more participants, short-term thinking, and less social interaction. These issues often caused people to become frustrated, disappointed, and even judgmental. On top of this, some of these issues actually increase problematic participation or even other causes of problematic participation. For example, if people are frustrated, they might stop participating, or they might prioritize other commitments. We know that students will always be transient because getting a degree is a time-limited activity. However, my recent research has explored how the impacts of students' transience can be managed to help ensure the longevity of student-led food gardens. I specifically looked at gardens connected to the Student Eats scheme run by Students Organizing for Sustainability, or SOS. This was done to help these gardens continue to contribute to sustainability and provide a space for students to learn about how to make change in society. Some of the impacts of transience happen in the short term, but many will also affect student-led food gardens over the long term. But sometimes it's easy to forget to take actions that will have delayed impacts because the results may not be as immediate or concrete. But this means that they're even more important to prioritize. Because of this, it makes sense to take actions to deal with both the short-term and long-term impacts. So here are some things you can do to make your garden more resilient in the short term and the long term. In the short term, try running events and activities. Organize weekly garden sessions on a set day and time the whole year round. And create variety in your activities. In addition to gardening workshops, try running socials, for example, and make sure you have a balance between the core gardening activities and recruitment activities. Not enough recruitment activities will mean participation might dwindle, but not enough gardening activities might mean your garden could become overgrown. Also, create different ways for people to take part. Some people would like to be told what to do, and others might like to get creative. Create space for both. Another strategy is to nurture interest and creativity. This means you should stay curious and experiment. You can provide leadership and engage with people, even if you're not sure it's your job to. This means you might want to be flexible and pay close attention and sense into the needs of the group so you can create an atmosphere where people can engage in ways that suit them. Ask other gardeners what their vision for the space is. Try providing leadership and engaging with people, even if you're not sure it's your job to. You might also need to reassure others when they face challenges and become frustrated or disappointed. This means you might want to be flexible and pay close attention and sense into the needs of the group, so you can create an atmosphere where people can engage in ways that suit them. And do encourage people to take on a bigger role and keep coming back, but remember, don't overburden others or even yourself. Make sure you listen to others and help them, and try not to tell other people what to do. And remember, talk to people in person as much as possible. The garden is a great space for this. An important way to build resilience into your garden is to be open to learning and experimentation. This is mostly because you don't know what you don't know. Try thinking of learning as a process rather than an outcome. It's a journey, not a destination. And be patient with uncertainty, like whether or not other people will come to the garden, or if you're not sure what to do next. Experiment and try things out, because if you're unsure of something, the chances are that other people might be too. And don't worry too much if your actions don't have an impact right now. They might have an impact in future that you can't see yet, or it might take 10 tries for an action to have an impact. Don't stop on your 9th try. A big part of learning is reflection and being open-minded with people who might not think the same way as you do. Try being open-minded when working with others. because you never know what you might learn from that interaction, even if it's an uncomfortable one. Another way you can build resilience in your garden in the short term is to make sure you get support. If you set up a good support system, this might also have longer-term effects. Reach out to your university students' union and other organizations that might be able to support you, like Students Organizing for Sustainability in the UK, or knowledgeable gardeners and other people you know. They can offer support in different ways, like with knowing what to grow and how to grow it, making sure the garden's historical knowledge doesn't get lost through passing it forward to future generations of students, and even embedding the garden into university websites, calendars, and grounds management plans. You might also want to reach out to other organizations like Students Organizing for Sustainability in the UK. It can also help to keep the garden well maintained to prevent building up a backlog of weeding, for example. And make sure you grow things that fit to the student calendar. For example, why not try growing low-maintenance crops that are either early or late cropping, so that they're ready to harvest in the spring or the fall rather than in the summer. Increasing the visibility of your garden can make people more aware of it. It can also make it feel like a more permanent feature of the university. Try advertising the garden through the student newspaper, social media, leafleting, emailing, blogging, and creating videos. You can also use social media to remind people to come to the garden on a weekly basis and also to create lively conversations. But you can also make the garden more visible in person. For example, hand out your produce to your friends and spread the word about the garden in social conversations too. Another key task is to recruit new participants. One way this can be done is by making the garden more visible. Ask your friends to come to the garden, but also reach outside of your social network to people different from yourself. Make a point to target people who can stay involved for longer periods, such as postgraduate students, staff, first-year students, or any other people that might live on or around campus. If you can find people who know how to garden, make a point of getting them to join as well. But also know that many of the people you reach out to might never show up. That's normal, so try not to let it bring you down. Another way to build some resilience into your garden is to create vibrancy and focus on what is valuable for your garden. This will be different for every garden. Try and find passion in your work and support others in finding theirs. Make sure that everyone gets to take part in the fun bits of the garden and no one gets stuck organizing everything. In general, try not to get sidetracked by activities that might not bring as much value to your garden, such as too many committee meetings or tasks that don't contribute to the vision of your garden. Another key thing to pay attention to is the balance between trying to recruit more people to the garden and activities like gardening and socials. Too much focus on gardening and socials, and participation will drop off. But too much focus on recruiting people and there won't be any fun in the garden, and things will start to get overgrown. You can show other people how vibrant your garden is, with an impressive autumn harvest when the semester starts too. Also make a point of trying to connect with other people and organizations, and link up to their interests. For example, help your students' union or university see the value of your garden by linking with their current priorities, such as improving student mental health or improving sustainability. Try inviting other student societies to the garden or run activities together. This can make the garden group feel more vibrant and might get more people involved, and other organizations like Students Organizing for Sustainability. Also try to act as a bridge between less active gardeners and your university students' union by building relationships and sharing information. This leads to the next thing you can do, which is to make sure you maintain healthy relationships and social networks. Start with this in the garden by creating a lively and cohesive garden group, but remember to remain open to new people who want to take part so the garden doesn't seem too cliquey. You can do this by reaching out to befriend newcomers, staying positive, and trying not to judge or blame others if they don't pull their weight. Also make sure that you're professional, timely, and patient with communicating with university or students' union staff. But if there's ever friction in the group, make sure to resolve it as soon as possible. If you need help working with the university or students' union staff, try reaching out to an organization like Students Organizing for Sustainability. An important way of making sure your garden stays resilient over the long term is to plan for your garden's future and document what happens each year. Basically, where has it come from and where is it going to? This makes it possible for someone new to come along and pick up where you left off, even if it's been a year or more since someone else was looking after it. Plan for the future by visioning what the garden should look like, and create legacy strategies for the next generation of students. You can also try keeping records on what's been planted where each year to keep the nutrients in the soil and to stop the spread of disease. Try creating to-do lists or how-to guides like visual calendars and keeping records in uncomplicated ways so they can be used in handovers between generations of gardeners and to catch the eyes of outsiders. All of this will help you to create a story of your garden to share with others. Finally, one of the best ways to make your garden resilient over the long term is to embed it in your university and students' union. This is a way to carry the story of your garden from one generation of gardeners to the next. You can do this by making your garden a student society if you aren't already, and taking advantage of funding or advertising provided by the Students' Union. If your Students' Union has a volunteering scheme, make sure you register your garden as a volunteering opportunity too. Also try adding information about your garden to university calendars and web pages. Even if you leave the university, these will be left as a legacy so someone else can pick up where you left off. Participating in a student-led food garden is one way you can make a contribution to sustainability while you're at university. Every action towards sustainability matters and helps to create a culture of change. I hope that you use these tips to make sure that your garden is as impactful and as long-lasting as possible.